Hey guys, the other attribute we want to consider with regards to presuppositionalism is that God is just and righteous, which that's where we get our ideas of right and wrong. That's where we get the concepts of right and wrong, is from the nature of God, that God is just and that He will punish iniquity. He hates iniquity, hates sin. He loves righteousness. He loves what is right, what is just, what is true, what is faithful, keeping covenant, keeping His word. These are attributes of God that indicate that He is just. And so the way this factors into the presuppositionalism is that God, the reason that we understand, the reason that we have ideas regarding right and wrong is because objective righteousness, objective justice is found in the nature of God, that God is just. So justice exists. It's independent of us. It's not what we prefer, and that it's not based on a whim of God. It's not based on God being arbitrary. It's based on the nature of God, which doesn't change. That's another factor. When you get into like Allah in Islam, for example, justice, technically He could change. He could make it into whatever He wants it to be. So righteousness is sort of a decision. It's an arbitrary choice. So with Christianity, it's not. It's God is just. That's who He is. That's His nature. And that He doesn't change. So justice is what it is, independent of us, because God is who He is, and He doesn't change. So we want to think about when we study the Bible, and the Bible's full of, we won't be able to cover that all here, but the Bible's full of God's righteousness and judgment and truth, that justice is an accurate portrayal of when you go to court, you want the evidence to match. You want it to be accurate. You want there to be truth involved. You want there to be justice relevant to truth. So all these factors are related to God. He's a God of truth. He's a God of justice. His judgments are true and righteous altogether, and His judgments are true and righteous. And so that's because of who He is. So it's significant when you're defending the faith, the Christian faith, to appeal to the nature of God as the foundation of not just morals, not just the way right and wrong exists independent of us, but also the fact that God keeps His word and that God is a God of covenant. And so we expect uniformities. We expect God's word to be upheld because He doesn't lie. He cannot change. He's not a man that He should lie. So He will keep His word. And so these are the foundations of our everyday experience. This is how we account for uniformities, epistemology, how we know what we know, and how right and wrong is not just independent of us, but how we can have a conception of that, because God's righteous laws are put naturally in our heart from birth through our conscience. We're created with a conscience, and so we know right and wrong based on that. So this is kind of the framework that you want to understand how the righteousness of God is related to defending the faith. So all the attributes of God that we're focusing on are related to some aspect of what we experience and how we justify what we experience. So think about those things, pray about them, and ask God to give you more light on these things.